Aita reminded my mother that she said we cannot have a relationship with her if we do not accept a relationship with her husband. I was born in a small family, just me, my sister, mother, and father. Dad is a warm man, whom my sister and I love more than anything. Memories of him are still fresh in my mind. His deep laugh as we played in the backyard, the way he patiently taught me to tie my shoelaces, or the evenings he told stories to my sister and me before bedtime. He is the center of our world, the one who keeps the family together. But when I was 10 years old and my sister was 12 years old, Dad passed away. His sudden passing swept away everything familiar and left a void that could not be filled. Mom tried her best to take care of us after that. She became the sister's sole support, and for several years we relied on each other, trying to heal the wounds left by our father's passing. Then, when I turned 15, everything changed. Mother remarried. That man's name is Frank. The first time I met him, my sister and I felt a vague uneasiness. He wasn't like Dad. No warmth, no easy smile. Instead, he brought a sense of distance, as if he had entered our lives with the intention of taking over everything without consulting anyone. My sister and I didn't like him from the beginning. There were small problems, like the way he always had to insert himself into every conversation, or the way he arbitrarily rearranged the furniture in the house without considering our feelings. But besides that, there were bigger, deeper issues that made me feel like I was slowly losing my own family. One of the things that hurt me the most was the rule that Frank set. No one was allowed to mention Dad when he was around. This applied not only in the home, but anywhere, with anyone. I still remember the times we visited my father's family, the aunts, uncles, cousins, who were an indispensable part of our lives. They loved Dad, and so do we. Those meetings should have been where we could share memories of him and laugh when recalling old stories. But Frank wouldn't allow that. He would invite himself to those meetings, even though no one wanted him there. Then he sat there, watching us like a supervisor, ready to interrupt if anyone accidentally mentioned Dad. If we disobeyed, he'd get angry, yell, and sometimes even force us to leave immediately. I still remember my aunt's sad eyes when we were dragged out of her house just because I accidentally told a story about my father. Mom was there, witnessing it all, but she never said anything to stop him. She just remained silent, letting him control everything. Special days become even more difficult. Dad's birthday, the anniversary of his death, occasions when we should have been able to fully remember him, turned into tense and suffocating days if Frank was present. I once asked my mother if she wanted to visit our father's grave with us, just to share a peaceful moment with the man the three of us once loved. But Frank heard, and he interrupted immediately. "Don't mention it," he barked, his voice cold and unforgiving. Mother bowed her head and did not object. One time, on the anniversary of my father's death, my sister and I secretly took a photo of him to look at, whispering to each other about beautiful memories. Frank caught on, and he snatched the photo out of my hand, threw it on the table, and told us that he didn't want to hear anything about that person in his house. His house, as if the house Dad had built for us no longer belonged to us. The worst was probably the day my sister graduated from high school. It was an important day for her, a milestone we had been looking forward to for a long time. She prepared her speech very carefully, and in it, she devoted a short paragraph to thank her father, who always encouraged her to study hard and believe in herself. "I know Dad is looking at me from somewhere," she said, her voice choked but filled with pride. I sat in the stands, tears rolling down my cheeks, feeling like my dad was there with us. But then Frank ruined everything. He stood up right in the middle of the party, pointed at my sister, and shouted, "You are not allowed to mention him. You are ruining the day." Everyone in the room was silent, stunned. My sister burst into tears, and I just wanted to rush over and push him out of our lives. Mom sat there clutching her napkin, but didn't say a word to protect my sister. After that day, my sister never forgave Frank, and neither did I. The second problem was the way Frank tried to control our relationship with our father's family. With my mother's side, her family, everything was much easier. We can visit them anytime without any trouble. Frank never cared what we did or said to them. But with the paternal side, things are completely different. As long as he knew we were going to meet them, even if it was just to tell Mom in private, he would get angry. He scolded us, demanding that we ask his permission before going somewhere with our family. Then he would invite himself along, barging into meetings he had no right to attend. If we objected and said we didn't want him to come with us, he would forbid us to go. One time, we went to my uncle's house, a gentle man who took care of us like children after our father passed away. My uncle didn't want Frank in the house because he knew the trouble he'd cause. Frank stood outside the door, his face red, and turned to us. "If I can't come in, then you can't go in either." We had to leave, even though my uncle tried to convince us to stay. Mother never stood up to protect us in such times. Before meeting Frank, she had gradually stopped coming with us to visit our grandparents, but with him, everything became a battle for control that we could never win. When my sister grew up and moved out, Frank didn't let go. He was angry because she spent more time with her father's family, the people who became her emotional support after everything that happened. He called, sent text messages, tried to tell her what to do, as if she were still a child living under his roof. But my sister has changed. She is no longer afraid of him. She cut off all contact with Frank, and eventually with her mother. My sister and I sat down and talked to our mother about all of this many times. We told her about all the pain Frank had caused, from the times he forbade us to mention our father to the way he controlled our every move. We made it clear that we did not want any relationship with him. I still remember the day we sat in the living room, tears rolling down my sister's cheeks as she begged our mother to understand us. But Mom just looked at us, sighed, and said, "If you want a relationship with me, you have to accept Frank. He's my husband." Those words were like an invisible wound in my heart. We loved our mother, we really loved her, and we worked hard for that love. But the price she asked was too great. Finally, my sister gave up. She stopped calling, stopped visiting, stopped appearing in her mother's life. And when I was old enough to move out, I did the same thing. We no longer visit our mother. Holidays and vacations that were once filled with laughter and warmth are now just empty days. We didn't invite her to our house, we didn't call, we didn't text. My mother once complained to me through a relative that we were terrible at keeping in touch. I asked that person to tell her that this was not the case. We don't want to keep this relationship, not when it comes to Frank. But Mother ignored our words. There were a few times she tried to visit me or my sister, but we made it clear that she could only come without Frank. She never appeared. Her birthday passed in silence on our part. No cards, no gifts, no wishes. What about Frank's birthday? I tried to erase it from my memory as a way to keep my soul lighter. Then a few weeks ago, I got engaged. It was one of the happiest days of my life. My fiancé is a wonderful person. She understands me, loves me, and most importantly, she respects the memories I hold of my dad. I didn't tell my mother about the engagement, nor did I ask anyone to convey the word. I wanted to keep that moment for myself, not overshadowed by Frank's shadow. But the news still reached her ears, perhaps through some talkative relative. She called me, her voice full of disappointment and sadness. She said she was hurt because she didn't hear from me, because I didn't organize an engagement party for her to attend. She said she hadn't even met my fiancé, and that hurt her even more. "How could I meet her for the first time right at the wedding?" she asked, her voice shaking. I took a deep breath, tried to stay calm, and said, "Mom, you will not be invited to the wedding." Mom was stunned. I could hear her gasping through the phone. "Why?" she asked, her voice breaking. I answered frankly, "Frank is not welcome. And you've made it clear that we can't have you without him." I repeated what she had told us many times, that we could not have a relationship with her if we did not accept Frank. Mom insisted that we love her enough to accept Frank, that was what she expected from us. But I can't bear it anymore. "You don't need to be in a relationship with a man who will make a fuss just because Dad is mentioned," I countered, my voice firm. "You don't have to accept someone who tried to control your entire family step by step." I told her he was still my dad, and I would find a way to incorporate his memory into my wedding. Maybe a small photo on the table, or a gentle reminder in my vows. I asked her, "Can Frank stand that? Or will he scream again like he did at my sister's graduation?" Mom started crying. Her sobs echoed through the phone, and part of me felt my heart clench. She said she didn't want to lose either of her children, that she loved us more than anything. I replied, my voice softer but still firm. "We love you too, Mom. but we cannot accept the man you call your husband." She told me it was unfair, that it was not right for me to repeat these things, that I was hurting her unnecessarily. I took another breath, trying to keep my voice from shaking. "This is the consequence of your choices," I said. "You chose Frank, and you made it clear that we couldn't have you without him. I can live with my decision, Mom. I can sleep well every night, even though our relationship is broken like this. If you can't do that, then it's not my problem." The call ended in silence. I put down the phone, feeling both relieved and heavy. Now, Mom is sad and angry. In her eyes, I was the bad guy, the selfish son who turned his back on his mother. But as I lay in bed that night, looking up at the ceiling, I wondered, was I really wrong? I chose to protect my dad's memory, protect the family I love, and protect myself from a man who never respected us. But the price is losing my mother, the person I still love, even though everything has become too complicated. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but I know that I couldn't live any other way. Not with Frank in my life.